Yo, what's up, y'all? I done put my sweater on and got chilly. But let's continue the story. Those of you who just tuning in, this is No Filter Nende. I suggest you click on that first video that says Heaven and Earth, Part 1, because this is a long story. At this point, we done shared to the point where we got to let y'all know how did we recall this whole dream. Everything I've done said right now. How did we recall it? I'll say that again. How did we recall my visit to heaven? So here's a story on that. So here I was hanging with my friend Tone. And at this point, Tony, he became a brother after that. Let's just be real. So Tony and I are just hanging out and we're just shooting the shit. We're just chilling. I don't know how the conversation began, but leading up to me recalling this dream was he just said a few words. He said, "My grandmother went to heaven." And while we're hanging out, we're just chilling in my kitchen, and he says, like I said, I don't remember what the conversation was because we could talk about everything and anything, the universe and, conspiracies and all of this extra stuff. So here it is. He for some odd reason, or I can't even say odd, it was meant to be at that moment. He tells me, he says, "My grandmother been to heaven." So now in the back of my mind, Tone never knew this, but in the back of my mind, I'm thinking to myself like, oh goodness gracious, what we gonna hear about rainbows and unicorns and just baby angels and all this extra stuff like about heaven. So I'm already being a spectator, like just like, oh, I don't even want to hear it. But it's my friend, so he won't talk. I'm listen. I'm gonna be all ears. So Tone starts to tell me things his grandmother seen, and he starts with she said the colors aren't the same in heaven as they are here on earth. Like the reds aren't reds and the greens aren't greens, the blues aren't blues. Like the colors are just amazing. They're not like, this ain't green. So he started kind of sound a little bit silly, but at the same time, like, where I've heard this before. Where have I heard? I started feeling some type of way. And when he started to say, the reds aren't reds, something would unlock in my head and be like, it showed me, like I would recall a field of roses, a field of flowers that were red. But they weren't red. They were like ruby. And by ruby, like the emerald ruby, that red, like it's clear, you can kind of see through it, but it's shiny, but it's red, and it's like pure red. Like what you really can't explain the color because it's just amazing. But when he said the reds aren't reds, here it is, I'm picturing the roses. Then he says the greens aren't green. I remember the grass, and I seen the emerald, how would they call it, the stems of grass. It was just shiny. It was green, like pearl, like rubies, like straight up, just you can't explain it. They're crystallized colors, and they're bright, and they're just, and so he said the greens are greens. So then I remember seeing grass, and then before he can get to like the rest of him finishing out the dream, I start cutting them off, and I'm like, yeah, and like the yellows, they kind of look like clear, like you almost see through them, like they're like almost like diamond like. And then he looks at me, he's like, yeah. And I'm like, and there's like a field of like sunflowers. And like when you move this way, the sunflowers move this way. And when you move that way, the sunflowers move that way. It's like the flowers, the fields were like living. Like they moved when you moved. They were alive. The fields were alive. And then Tone's like kind of like looking at me like who told you this? Like where are you getting your knowledge from? Who did somebody in your family go to heaven? And I'm like, No, I don't know. I know this place. It sounds so familiar. Like everything you're saying is just clicking. I can't explain it. I just understand it. And then next thing you know, I just started spilling off just like how I just done told you the dream. I said, I remember seeing like a throne room. Like there was a floor made of all gold. Like it was gold bricks. And now Tone's starting to freak out. He's like, yo, my grandma said the same thing in that same way. Like the order you're saying. Like she done said the same thing, bro. So I'm like, nah, it can't be, bro. And I'm just like catching goosebumps. Telling him all of this. And so he's like, so I'm starting to go on, and I'm like, I remember seeing this giant just sitting in a chair. But as I got close to him, it's like I just felt like, and I'm not going to repeat what was already been said, but I tell him the experience about me pretty much meeting God. And he's like, that's when he starts explaining to me about what I was looking at when I said I seen a mist around. You can't see his face. He was like, bro, those were angels, bro. And I'm starting to, like, I'm getting chills everywhere. Like confirmation, like, yeah, you were in heaven, bro. Like that wasn't fake. So here it is. I'm recalling heaven. And Tone's telling me, like, I was already trying to, like, dismiss it. Because I'm like, oh, another heaven story. Like, everybody got their view on heaven. Everybody want to say, like, oh, I've been there. And they say something. And it's like, oh, okay, that's what it is. All right, that's cute type of mindset. Nah, I'm saying stuff that Tony's grandma's been saying. And besides that, it's like match for match. It's like, bro, and I'm getting he's getting chills, I'm getting goosebumps, like we just vibing, like, whoa, like this is real. He's like, yeah, man, heaven is real, bro. This is way before we done heard, before even the movie came out of Heaven is Real. The story about the little boy, I don't know if I've mentioned it before, Colton Burpo. I think I did. Not to be short-term memory, but there's so much going on and information I gotta keep sharing out. That is like sometimes I have to repeat it to like confirm what I said in the beginning. Which Colton Burpo had been to heaven, and like his mission. Apparently, he knew some people that God said, "Look, you gotta come up here because when you go back down there, I'm gonna send you some information through you, little kid, and." The people around you, they're going to be listening, and those people who are listening are going to have some connections to share this story with you, because people done forgot about me. They forgot about the almighty powerful God, their Father in heaven. There's no more miracles or wonders that I'm doing for them to understand that, look, I'm here. I'm still here. Y'all forgot that y'all started up here before y'all went down there. I sent y'all down there to live a life. And that's heaven. Heaven, when God, what people don't realize is we really did start out in heaven and we came down here to earth. That's why even in the Bible it says, I knew you before I created you. Like he's the Father. Like he sent us down. And I already told y'all, I said, even me seeing Demi in the choir, it connected to me, because I'm like, I've seen this choir before. Like I fell in love with somebody that was singing in that choir. Their voices touched me and I just connected to them. And I was sitting there, I'm like, why am I still, like, I couldn't move. I knew I had to go to God, but like God, it looks like he set that up. He was like, I'm gonna call him, but what he don't know is he really supposed to be meeting the love of his life right there. But he gonna catch himself, and he's gonna think I really need it. Because if God needs you, he's not gonna wait for you. You know what I'm saying? He's gonna be like, look, hey, come on, what are you doing? I done called you. You don't make me wait. I'm God. But he set it up to a point where he knew I would bounce right into her, like right there. So when I walked in the throne room and the choir was right there, and I already showed you the story, there's a voice singing and I pick it out, and then here she is just in the choir singing, and I'm just connected, and she's looking at me and I'm looking at her, and it's just instant love. Like I can feel her love just by the eyes. And the same with me, she can feel mine, and we're like vibing, just looking at each other, and she was smiling, and I'm like, oh my, and you're singing to me, and it was just wild. But him sending us down here to earth is because in heaven you don't die. In heaven people don't mourn. You don't give birth. You don't go through child labor pains. You don't have kids. Your whole life here on earth is like an experience. It's almost like, the way I can explain it, it's like a vacation. Like you've came here to be born, have parents, fall in love, live a life to a point where you then become parents. And then you die, and they bury you. And then when you bury you, go right back to heaven, to a point where you're like, you see the people that you affected, and they affected you, that made it into heaven, and you're like, there's grandma, that's yo, on earth you were my grandma. And then she's like, yeah, on earth you was my grandson. Then you seen your kids, you're like, yo, I was your dad, bro. Like, you're there. And the thing is, why I said bro is because y'all equals. Like, y'all, we're all young. We're all look the best image of ourselves. We are the best image of ourselves, to a point where you probably won't even recognize, if you never seen a picture of your parents at a younger age, you probably won't even recognize your own parents. You go up there, if they've done passed before you, you see your parents, and they'll be like, oh, look at my daughter. And it's like, your daughter? Like, what are you talking? Girl, you the same age as me. What are you talking about, daughter? And it's like, no, you don't remember what we did when we went on vacation to, the Redwood Forest? Blah, blah, blah. Like, how do you know about that? Because I'm your mom. You chill. Like, think about it. When you die to go to heaven, you turn young. And you're like, Mom, my goodness. That's how it is, bro. I kid you not, man. It's wild. That's why I didn't recognize grandma. Because I'm like, yo, I had to, like, really understand. My grandmother is so gorgeous. When there's no pictures of her. Being African, too, especially, there weren't pictures of her to be at that young age. She had to connect with me to a point where she had to call me by my nickname for me to understand, like why you keep calling me that? And she's saying, I'm your grandma, and I'm like, you're my grandma? Like, what do you mean you're my grandma? Like, can you stop doing that? You gorgeous woman, and you talking about you my grandma. Stop making yourself old and stuff. That's how I kind of felt. Like, stop making yourself old. She's like, you just smile, look at me like, he ain't gonna get this. Until I keep saying it, I'm like, dude. And then that's when I told you, I said, God done said, whoa, he's about to remember it. Let's just, because if he remembers this, he go back down there, he gonna realize he went to heaven. He's not gonna get some stuff accomplished, because he's gonna be just weirded out, like, whoa, what happened? It's like, there's a time and place when I'll unlock his whole visitation up here. But until that time, show him what he needs to know to understand what we have for him. So excuse the cocky mannerism from how I'm coming off, like, guys, but that's, to be real with you, jumping right into that. God, like when I said he's a father, he is a father. God wants a connection with his children, just like any parent wants with their child. For him to lock the information that he locked away in my head and reveal it at a certain time when it needed to be revealed is like, it's just, before I even get into how deep and how people are actually overshooting and surpassing what just the basic connection God wants from his children. Before we get into that conversation, I do have to say, I have to explain that unlocking real quick. When God unlocks to remember heaven for me, it was a point in time where I'm like, because when Tony and I talked about, trip to heaven, I even was like, wait a minute, but how did I go there? Like, it was a dream. So I remember telling Mom, I said, Ma, because I remember after talking to Tone, I'm like, my mom, once again, she grew up from under grandma, so she a minister's daughter, she would have some knowledge on it. So I said, Ma, I've been to heaven, I think. And I started explaining some stuff to her, and then she's feeling it. She's understanding, like, no, you were there. You've been there. And as she's like confirming it, she's like, but the only way you could go there is if you died. Like, you had to have died. So then when she said that, I'm like, I had to have died, but where and when would I have died? Like, I mean, there's so many occasions where I can say I'm close to death. I got hit by a car, bit by a dog, friggin' asthma attack. There's so many situations of hospitalization scenarios where it's like I don't recall dying, but then once again that unlocking, boom, there it was. Like, you already knew when you died. You just didn't remember because you didn't think it was serious. You woke up from it and thinking it was a dream, but you were dead. And that's what my angel showed me, that part of me being in heaven in the line. Like, oh my goodness, my mom's gonna kill me. I'm dead. And like, people were around me telling me, you're in heaven, you're in heaven. And I'm like, heaven. And it just clicked. Like, my spirit knew it. And I've already told you guys that. I said my spirit knew, like, I was in heaven. It was no question about it. My spirit was like, yeah, you are in heaven. You don't need to worry about thinking, oh, it's a dream, it's fake. Like, oh no, you're somewhere else. You're at the corner store down the road. No, you are in heaven. And your spirit will tell you, there's no doubt about it. It'll even tell you how you died. Because people were asking me, well, what's the last thing you remember? It's like, as soon as you ask somebody while they're in heaven, when they're in line, what's the last thing you remember? You straight away know you did. Period. You straight away know you dead. Because when they ask me, what's the last thing you remember? I remember in my bed, I was hugging oh, crap. I'm dead. Straight up. Just like that. And I'm like, dang. It's not like it's, like, and that was a question for me too. Like, how do you know if you dead and you're not dead? You know what I'm saying? And you'll know because it's not gonna be like, am I dead? And then he's seen take for example, let's say 50 Cent, he got shot 9 times, stabbed 3, whatever, blah blah blah. It's not like he woke up in the hospital after realizing I got shot 9 times, and then he wakes up and looks around like, am I dead? But still sees the people around him who had brought him into the hospital. It's not gonna be like that. You're not questioning like, oh, I'm still living my life. It's not like when you're high and you're like, am I living? Am I breathing? And you're not questioning anything. You'll know. So anytime you feel like you're dying or you're dead, and you can't confirm it, then you're not dead. I'll say it like that. There you go. If you can't confirm it, you're not dead. Because your spirit will confirm it for you. If you just say like, dead, say you're in heaven, your spirit gonna know. Your spirit just gonna tell you you're dead. Like, you feel it. You feel it. You feel like you're not in the same place. You're in a different world. You're in the clouds. You're just straight up in the clouds, in a line, waiting to get judged by God, waiting to go through the gates, the pearl gates or the gold gates. They're really gold, and the angels are flying everywhere. You're in heaven. Like, you're in heaven. So to unlock that mindset, when mom told me like you had to die, I was like, oh, there was a time, mom, that's the time I didn't make the team, and I was crying. Like, you weren't home, and I done hugged the pillow, and I literally suffocated myself, mom. And I was like, she was like, what? I was like, yeah. And then when I told her the whole point of when God just breathed life back into me, I told her when I woke up, I like took a deep, like I breathed in so much oxygen, my whole body felt just energized. And I told her even before that point, it's like God he just do that on me. And I'm like, and I'm like, yo, whoa, what is that? Yo, so me recalling that. This is apparently, I believe, from Colton Burpo's experience. If you haven't seen the movie Heaven is for Real, the story of Colton Burpo, going to heaven, he legitimately, he was in the hospital, on a hospital bed, and the angels done took him, and they brought him through a church. And With that said, I feel like as a kid, when you're innocent, this is why they say Jesus loves the little children. Kids are really, really innocent to a point where it's like they're hard to corrupt because they just believe. Like you will see a little white boy and a little black boy hugging. They don't know the difference of racism. They don't know color. They don't know like judge. They're kids and they gonna love each other. It's like, oh, you like toy trucks? I like toy trucks. And you like the action figures? I like action figures. Power Rangers and Power Rangers. You know, like you connect. Same thing with little girls. It's like they don't see color. It's like that's my friend. Until you grow up, and that's why. And we'll talk about this later on the show. This is why people kind of, when you grow up, you understand racism. You either taught it or you feel it and you experience the difference. You're like, how come that person's getting treated different than me? And this is where we'll get to that point down the road when we talk about systemic racism, how people it's just ingrained in your DNA. Like you don't even understand why you're doing certain things, but when you do it, it's like that's racist. You know what I'm saying? We're not just calling it to just call it because we like the word, like it's cool. But anyway, we'll talk about that later. So being kids, being innocent, I believe that's the reason why Colton didn't die. You know, the angels just said, we got a mission for you. So we're gonna bring you up while they're working on your body. We're gonna bring your spirit up here, and we're gonna give you some information and some messages to send back, so they can believe that heaven is real. And through him, look, they done made a movie. That's exactly how God used people. He's like, look, this word's gonna get out through him. Anybody else probably would have just seen it and just be quiet and just sat back down and just like, dang, I guess I've been in heaven. Oh well. And not shared it. But they had to use that kid, because that kid went back and started telling his mom, his dad, you had a baby, it died in your stomach. I met your grandpa, he don't look like that. Dad showing him old pictures. Oh yeah, there he is. That's the dude right there. And it's like, how do you even know that was grandpa out of the whole group of people? You done seen him and you pointed him out and you that age. That's how mind blowing it was, to a point where it's like, yo, guys, he unlocks it when he needs to. So the first time I started recalling stuff from that whole visitation to heaven was boot camp. Boot camp. Like, y'all get ready for this story, because this was wild. Yo, so first things first, never knew I was going to join the military, better yet to even say the Marine Corps. Let me be honest on that. There was not one doubt in my mind for me to be like, oh yeah, one day I'm gonna join and be a soldier boy. Like, nah. Military was not on my mind. Football was on my mind. I'm like, let me get a scholarship, let me work hard, let me do this. Like, I'm trying to, if anything, criminal justice and law, anything piloted, like I do all that. That's my background. Nothing to do with military. Nothing. Not one. There's no family members in the military, to the point where, well, on the African side, the refuge, the Buffalo Soldiers, we'll call them. But besides that, ain't no military to motivate me. Any member in the family to be like, oh yeah, you should join, bro. Like this and this and that. Nah, straight up nah. But it looks like God had that plan for me, because that was the first time I unlocked a vision in my head that I was recalling, whether it was a trip from heaven or a message from God when he was communicating with me, because I straight up just was having deja vu straight up in boot camp. Like the first time I recalled visions without knowing it, later down the road I understand, wow, God was showing me everything. He was just he was like, this is gonna happen, this is what you're gonna do, this is what I need you to do, this is what you're gonna experience. You have to do this to get here, to do that. And he's showing me everything, but he doesn't unlock it until I need to know. So here I am, I'm in boot camp, and I start getting like a weird feeling, and we're sitting down in like a little meeting area. Like, I don't know how to explain it. We'll say like a baseball bench type of theme. Like there's rows, there's benches, and we're waiting, and there's a building in front of us. We're waiting to get in the building. And I remember talking to somebody next to me. I didn't know this person at all. And I'm like, yo, I feel like I've done this before. I've been here before. And dude next to me was like, what do you mean? It's like, I don't know, I'm getting a strange deja vu feeling, bro. Like I felt like I've done this before. And he was like, yo, that's weird. I don't know how he was connecting with me, clicking with me, or he just was bored and wanted to talk. But he was like, yo, that's weird. And he was like, what do you mean you're getting a deja vu? Like what? Like what? I'm like, there's a lady that's going to come through that door and she's gonna give us an announcement, and she's gonna tell us to pull our trousers down over our cheek, because we're gonna get a shot there, we're gonna get two here, we're gonna get two here, and yeah, I don't know. And he's like, what? He was like, no, we're doing paperwork. Like, we just got here on camp, so this is where we do the meetings. We're just here to get checked in. And I was like, all right, hopefully you're right, because I don't feel like getting no shot today, so maybe I'm just, yeah, I'll leave it alone. Next thing you know, a couple seconds later, lady comes walking through the door. Already, dude John looked at me. Lady says, all right, listen up, recruits. We're here, you're going to be checking in for medical, all right? So what we're going to do here for your medical, we going to give y'all some shots here, here, here. In fact, she don't even say shots. She said, what we're going to need y'all to do is when you get into my line right here, you're going to take your trousers down and you're going to put it down below your cheek, your right cheek or your left cheek, blah, blah, blah. And she says, fellas, do not pull your pants down all the way. We do not need to be flashed. We just need your butt cheek. Okay? That ass cheek, yeah, that's ours. We need that. So dude's looking at me like, then she says, we're going to need you to roll your sleeve up over your shoulder on your right side as well as your left. This dude's like, no. And she said, excuse me, recruit. Yo, I'm like, bro, you better shut up, bro. Don't get me in trouble. And then he's like, stop, bro. And I'm like, and she was like, starts continuing. She was like, all right. And I'm like, oh, shit. Oh, damn. They didn't even tell us. I don't think they want to let us know. But they're going to take some blood. They're doing a blood draw, too. He was like, bro, stop. Then she came, oh, and recruits, we are going to be doing a blood draw, so make sure you find that vein on it. And then he's like, bro. And this lady's like, okay, keep shouting out, recruit. Keep shouting out. And then he's like, I can't handle this. And I'm like, bro, you can't handle this. I just felt like I've done this before and I'm redoing it. Like I literally felt like I'm redoing something I've done before and I did not want to do it. And this is boot camp. This is the beginning. They straight up, this is after the point they ask you. They say, they give you a chance too. They say, look, you seen what it is. This is what you're going to be going through, which is bullshit because at the end of the day, they didn't show you nothing for you to really make a choice. Like, okay, yeah, I'm going to go home. I can't handle this shit. They don't show you none of that shit. They just bring you in, get ready for your checkup, check in with your uniform, blah, 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 all of that good trash. And then they'll call you to an office and they'll be like, all right, no harm, no foul. We can send you back home right now. Okay? We don't want you to waste our time and we don't want to waste your time. If you want to continue training and become a Marine, by all means, you can stay. But we're not going to play any games. This is your final chance. If you're ready to go back home, if you feel like you can't do it, you can't pass the test, if you're not going to make it, this is the only time you're going to have for us to send you back home. And they straightforward with that shit. And so some people get a little bit spooked out like, damn, what do you mean? Like, this not even, like, this is it? Like, this is what we're going to do? Like, all right, like, nah, that's okay. You're right. I'll take off. I'll go join the army or some shit. And then some people don't take it serious. It's like, bro, we didn't even do nothing. Like, what are you talking about? Y'all asking me if I'm ready to go home. Like, the food's good over here, bro. I ain't eating nothing back home. I'm going to stay. We chilling. So there it is. I'm freaking straight chilling. And I'm like, no, we're good. If this is it, this is a cakewalk. So that's beforehand, before the shots coming out. And then this is what gets a little bit nerve-wracking. And I'm going to share this before I end it, because I realize 40-minute videos are taking way too long to upload. So I'm going to just keep it between like 30 and 35. Between 30 and 40, but hopefully 35. So anyway, this is what blows my mind. After the fact that we got all these shots, my body is sore. Them needles made it feel like it was a workout. Blood drawn, 2 shots here, 2 shots here, a shot that they call it the peanut butter shot, which is basically just penicillin in your ass, and it's like, oh, yo, damn, what the fuck? But anyway, here I am. They already made the announcement. Say, when you're done with your shots, return immediately to your squad bay. So there ain't nobody gonna do no marching. Ain't nobody. When you get your shot, just go back to where you came from. Type of mindset. So then now I'm done with my shot, and I'm walking, and I remember it like, yes, it was straight deja vu. I remember that road I was walking down. I'm like, I've been down this road, but where? I'm literally thinking like as if I'm reliving my life, like I'm in hell right now, like, cause the feeling of this deja vu was feeling like it was awful, like it was a bad experience, and I did not want to redo this experience. So as I'm looking down the road, I'm like, no, can't. Am I in hell redoing something now? Did I not accomplish what I was supposed to do, and God punishing me with this? So here I am walking down the road, and I'm like, there's a car about to pass. Like literally almost like as if I'm seeing the future or I'm reading the Matrix. And then there it is, a car passes. And I'm like, stop. No, this can't be. I'm like starting to shake. I'm like freaking out. And I'm like things that were happening that I remember from the dream, like an alarm is about to go off. And then it went off. And I'm like, oh my goodness. Like now I'm about to tear up. I'm like, if this is what I think it is, I want to die. Straight up, I want to die. I get down the road, and this is where it pushes me. I get on this road, and I'm like, if this is what I think it is, and they already asked me if we wanted to go home, and I can't go home right now, I'm stuck. I'm done for. Stick a fork in me. I'm done. I legitimately walk. And I tell myself the last feeling of this deja vu, I said, please don't call me. Please don't call me. And I'm getting goosebumps like a mug. Please don't call me. Next thing you know, I hear a drill instructor. Hey, recruit, get over here right now. And I'm like, just ignore him. Just ignore him. He ain't calling. He calling somebody else. He said, yeah, I'm talking to you, recruit. Like as if he heard me say that. He legitimately said, yeah, I'm talking to you, recruit. Get over here right now. So I turn around and I start walking. I said, run. And now I start running. And then I'm like, no, please no. And he said, I stop. Get the back over there right now. And then I got to run all the way down this block, like 2 blocks. And this drill instructor got lungs on him because he's like, get the back right now. And I'm running back and tears are almost starting to come down. I'm like, yo, that moment I was going through that, I remembered it was a dream or a vision I had. And I remember it so like clearly. It was the moment I woke up from my sleep in that transition from me running blocks there. Then the drill instructor said, come back, and I'm running blocks back. And he kept making me do it, like sprinting. I woke up from my dream, because it was like in my dream I was doing it back and forth. I was like, oh, like no, what the was that? I'm never doing that. Like, yo, are you kidding? What is that? Like, no, never. What? Please tell me what that was, because I'm not doing it. Shit, y'all not, man. I was living the dream, and the whole thing was that's when I woke up from the dream, was that running. So my dream was backwards, right? Or the vision, or what God was trying to speak and tell me I was going to do. Because he showed me the deja vu of the end of the dream. The whole dream itself was everything I was going to do after this fact. So where the dream ended here, like literally it backtracked to the ending here, I was starting boot camp. So I knew everything leading to graduate. And I didn't even see graduation. Let me be real with you, that I didn't see Marine Corps like, oh yeah, you made it. I seen all the shitty parts that were like mind blowing, that was like gonna fuck with my head, fuck with me, and it was gonna be like This is what you're gonna have to go through. It was a hell. The dream was hell. The dream was a nightmare. Like, if anybody could see what they would have to go through in boot camp, they'd be like, no, fuck that. I'm not doing that shit. You kidding me? Hell nah. And that's basically what I did. So here it is in my mind. I'm just seeing God laughing at me like, yo, and you said you weren't going to do it. See, that's why we didn't want to tell you you was going to join the Marines. Because if we done told you that was the Marine Corps, you would have been like, nah, I already seen the dream. I need to do that. That's okay. I'm cool. I'll join Navy. You know what? I'll do Air Force. I'll study hard. Like, straight up. The shit was wild. I'm going to end right there. And we'll continue with that deja vu feeling and where it leads to next. So y'all stand by. Thank you for tuning in to No Filter Nende. The story still continues of heaven and earth. And we'll send that next vid up. Alright. See. We got. Ooh, that not working. No, we're not manually doing that. See this?